test electrocoagulation tap water. We've got smart water made by Coca-Cola. Evian. And distilled water, straight from the distiller, distilled last night. This is the electrocoagulation apparatus. You see the bubbling start straight away. This is breaking the electrical bonds between the substances in the water. It's going to reveal them and tell us more about the water. We've done a pH test and a ppm test on all waters. So we've got pH of the tap water 7.4, the smart water 7.2, the Evans 7.4, and the distilled water 7.1. And the ppm, parts per million, tap water 276, smart water 225, Evian 265, and the distilled water 002. It's usually 000, but it picks up carbon dioxide as soon as it comes into the jug. It absorbs it. So as you can see, the smart water is getting really dark. The tap water's also getting very murky. And as we can see, all the sediments in the water that are being revealed, this is what fills up our bodies. It gets in all in our tissue, in between our joints, causes arthritis later on in life, and all different problems and conditions, and leads to diseases. And to hydrate ourselves, we want to be drinking water that can go into the cells. These waters, they can't hydrate us properly because the molecules are all clumped together. And hydration is one of the #1 causes of conditions and diseases. Right, so it's getting hot now. I'm going to turn the machine off. Let's let that one go on for a little bit longer. And as we can see, the colours have been revealed. We've got black for smart water, which is basically pure heavy metals: zinc, lead, copper, manganese and cadmium. So it's just filled with heavy metals. The tap water is slightly blue and green, so we've got bacteria, viruses, carcinogens, organic phosphorus, fertilisers, detergents and pesticides. And with the green as well, it's arsenic, mercury, lead, copper and sodium. So all them poisons, and this is what we feed our families, our kids, our babies, you know, mixing it in with everything. So we've got all these problems. Mercury is like one of the most poisonous things you can possibly have. Arsenic's a poison. We've got bacteria, pathogenic bacteria in the water. Let's turn this one off now. Right, and you can see the Evian is slightly yellow and I would say a little bit off green, so it's got lots of organic minerals in there.
I don't think it's any secret to anyone that water is essential to life. Most of the biological, or actually, frankly, all of the significant biological processes in your body are dependent on water and are probably occurring inside of water. When you think of the cells in your body, the cytoplasm inside of your cells, that is mainly water. In fact, me, who's talking to you right now, I am 60 to 70% water. You can think of me as kind of this big bag of water. Making a video right now. And it's not just human beings that need water. Life as we know it is dependent on water. That's why when we have the search for signs of life on other planets, we're always looking for signs of water. Maybe life can occur in other types of substances, but water is what is essential to life as we know it. And to understand why water is so special, let's start to understand the structure of water and how it interacts with itself. And so water, as you probably already know, is made up of one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. That's why we call it H2O. And they are bonded with covalent bonds. And covalent bonds, each of these bonds is a pair of electrons that both of these atoms get to pretend like they have. And so you have these two pairs, and you might be saying, well, why did I draw the two hydrogens on this end? Why didn't I draw them on opposite sides of the oxygen? Well, that's because oxygen also has two lone electron pairs. And these things are always repelling each other. The electrons are repelling from each other. And so in reality, if we were looking at it 3 dimensions, the oxygen molecule is kind of a tetrahedral shape. Let me try to draw it a little bit. So if this is the oxygen right over here, then you could have maybe one lone pair of electrons. I'll draw it as a little.
This is an eye-opening demonstration of chemicals in your water. Unfiltered tap water, which we will pour in 2 glasses. OTO chemical, test for chlorine, very sensitive for it. 10 drops. Notice it turning yellow, the evidence of chlorine. No chlorine in this
information.
Speaking about the rabbi, I know that there are some very old individuals that are a part of TLS, physically old, hundreds of years old, call them like the elders. How is it that they live so long, 400, 500, 600 years? Can you speak more about that lifestyle?
They eat very little. They are vegans. They don't touch any chemicals. All the food is organic. Otherwise, they don't touch it. They fast a lot. They are spiritually elevated. They're always happy. They make sure they're happy. That's part of their mission, to stay happy. Anger is the worst thing for your body. Rarely will you see them getting upset. They always stay cool and calm and very highly evolved spiritual beings. So yeah, they can live for a very long time, if not forever.
Geographic ran an extensive series of articles investigating claims of long-lived people around the world. The Hunza people, who lived in the Hunza Valley in the northern part of the Gilgit-Baltistan region of Pakistan, were one of those peoples. They became fascinating case studies of the unique region in which they live. Health secrets of the Hunza people. The Hunza are a very popular Himalayan people, whose indigenous people are famous for their longevity and quality of life. Some references shows that they can live more than 120 years. Their diet, which is vegetarian, includes apricots, both fresh and dried. However, it should be noted that certain factors, such as lack of stress and pollution, are also decisive in their good health. All of this has a very positive impact on their quality of life. This fruit is consumed, therefore, throughout the year. It is common for families to have their own apricot trees, which are a sign of great wealth. In addition to eating the fruit, a very precious oil is extracted from its seed used for cooking, lamps, and skincare. Apricot is a fruit that stands out, above all, for its high content of antioxidants. For this reason, it is considered a very good fruit to maintain beauty and youth, as well as to fill us with vitality in a few bites. Discover in this video all the properties of this fruit and its important health benefits. We also share the different ways to consume it. What kind of fruit is apricots? The apricot, also known as Armenian plums. Round and yellow, look like a
Distilled water is liquid water that was created by first boiling water and then condensing the steam back into liquid. That's distilled water, and it's almost completely free of minerals or contaminants. So in this video, I want to explain to you why I think drinking distilled water is a healthy thing to do, and why you might want to consider it for your own health and family. So I've got 3 glasses of water here. You can see one is distilled, produced with the water distiller we have in our home. This is tap water that we get, and then this is something called boiling tank water, which I'll explain in a second. But right now I just want to show you, using this total dissolved solids meter, the difference between these 3. So distilled water, 0, oh, it's showing 1 part per million, so pretty much completely mineral free. 1 part per million is not very much. It could just be caused by a little dust that settled in that glass. Now the tap water, this is from our home. We're on a private well, and let me just clear that. And look on there, 218 parts per million. So 218 parts per million of what? Well, of this. This is the mineral residue that was taken out of the tap water, leaving behind the distilled water. This is the kind of thing that my family and I would have ingested over several months. Now, this is probably mostly calcium and magnesium, given the bedrock in our area and water chemistry. And you might be thinking, well, don't we need calcium and magnesium? And you might even go to the drugstore and buy supplements of that sort. The problem is that this form of magnesium and calcium is not something that your body can use very easily. It actually has to work hard to get rid of it. Not that there's a huge amount here anyway. Even if this stuff was the kind of calcium and magnesium that your body needs, you would have to drink maybe 100 gallons a day of tap water with this concentration of minerals in it in order to get your daily requirements. So, first of all, it's not very much. You're not getting very many minerals, but the minerals you are getting are causing your body some problems, and it has to work hard to get rid of it. And one place it gets rid of this is in your joints. This is one of the causes of recurring joint pain and inflammation. Another place this stuff shows up is kidney stones. The kidney stones are going to vary depending on the mineral composition of the water where you live, but that's where they come from, like this. So this third glass of water, let me just show that to you. So in the distiller that we have, tap water goes in, distilled water comes out, and the minerals are left behind in the boiling tank. Now in another video I explain what the boiling tank is and show it to you. But essentially the boiling tank in a distiller is kind of like the Dead Sea in the Middle East, in that mineral-laden water goes in, but mineral-free water goes out. So in the boiling tank, there's going to be a buildup of minerals over a period of time. And that has to be removed from time to time. But just let's take a look and see what we've got here. So this was pretty much zero distilled, 200 and something parts per million tap water. And the boiling tank water, we're up over 1472 parts per million in the boiling tank water. So you get some sense here of the minerals that are removed and how that happens. Now, there is another reason why you would want to drink distilled water. It doesn't apply to me because I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm 100 miles from any industry, at least. Our well is drilled into bedrock. I'm not worried about chemical contamination, but I would certainly be concerned about chemical contamination if I lived downstream, so on the lake or river, downstream from a large population. Because there's something happening with municipal drinking water that you need to understand. From a bacterial point of view, you're not going to get sick drinking water anywhere in North America or any modern country. We've got the microbe thing taken care of, mostly with chlorine, at least in North America, and that has a whole bunch of problems associated with it, which I won't talk about now. But what the municipal system cannot remove are contaminants that are now building up in the natural ecosystem. And these are of two types. One type is female hormones from birth control pills. These get into the sewage, and from the sewage they get back into natural water courses, and they are causing problems with fish and frogs. You can Google it yourself. Female hormones in the ecosystem. Just Google something like that, and you'll see case after case after case of mutated fish and frogs in these natural ecosystems. And that's because of what we're putting into the natural ecosystem. Now, the thing is, not only are we putting it in the form of our sewage, but our municipal treatment plants cannot take it out, not completely. So you're getting some of that in your drinking water. Another thing you're getting in your drinking water, depending on where you live, and depending on the time of the week, and this is kind of interesting, is the residue of recreational drugs. Studies have been done to analyze the trace residue of recreational drugs in sewage, leaving sewage treatment plants. And as you'd imagine, it spikes up between Thursday and Sunday. And those are also going into the natural ecosystem, and they cannot be removed by the municipal system that takes that water back in from the lake or river and purifies it and makes it safe to drink. So those substances are in municipal water supplies that are downstream from large populations. Distillation is the most effective method that I know for removing those things. So two reasons to recap. Getting rid of these minerals, which are not what you need, actually, and also a purer water supply in terms of chemical contamination. Now, these chemical contaminants aren't going to make you sick in a week or a year or maybe even 10 years, but we're talking about a cumulative effect. And this is why I think it's safe. It's prudent to pay attention to this. Now, I'm not the only one who thinks this. I'm not just making this stuff up. The prominent people throughout history are on record as approving of distilled water for drinking. And I just want to show you a couple of examples of that right now. So if you have any questions about drinking distilled water or home distillers, we've got a fair amount of experience with this, so just drop
How do you not believe in any conspiracy theories? I understand not all of them, not most of them, but you don't believe in any conspiracy theories? You just think the government's just batting 1,000 and telling us the whole truth? That's a strong stance to take. And again, as I said before, I don't like talking about politics on stage or off stage. I don't like talking about things I don't feel like I'm truly knowledgeable in. But I do know this. Our government is placed in charge of all of its people. I'm a father who's been placed in charge of just one son. And I lie to that all the time.